The total be 2 Ks. We handle Maxwell and clap heat. So when C air around with I'm aiming, I'll leave your baby face on that black street.
But I know why you target the Crips. Even if nobody else does, it's biology. See, Iron's biggest job is to help blood, boy. You ain't never. Alcatraz bars. Who the f gonna break you out? Give day 26, that's how I'ma take you out. Face blew out, you'll be done if I give D1 for acting. I leave him on the floor from this knee, son. Get it? Liam Neeson. I can rebuttal, switch the flow to mean rapping with unique patterns. I can do angles, personals, break them down with his weak faction. God damn, I got more weapons in the ring than the Green Lantern. I need ends.
See, this is power. This voice, this is power.
Yes, my people. Welcome back to another episode of the Outspoken Podcast. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, all the way from the US, people, battle rap legend, former KOTD champion, URL star, Chilla Jones, people.
Hey, what's going on? Outspoken Podcast. What's good?
It's a pleasure to have you on board, bro. We've been trying to get this one together for a while now. We're very, very happy that we managed to make things come through. We're looking forward to talking to you today, man, about your battle rap career and just highlights about what you're doing right now, man. I want to get started by saying, recently, man, you had a classic with Jerry Wess, man. The battle was crazy. You were operating. I messaged you as well on Instagram. I don't know if you remember, but I sent you a message and I said, bro, you were operating on another level in that battle, man. I mean,
Thank you.
What goes through your mind in that writing process, you know, leading up to the battle? You know, you got the pressure on you. You've only got a few weeks to prepare. You got to write for your opponent. How do you prepare in such little time and come up with just such intricate, you know, well woven bars the way that you do, man? Because some of your schemes are just crazy, man.
Thank you, bro. It's just a part of my creative process, man, to try and challenge myself, to try and do things that haven't been done, to try to do things that are different. You know, as somebody that's been doing battle rap for, 8-9 years at this point, a lot of times, it can be really hard to find that same hunger or that same motivation. And so what motivates me is being able to challenge myself creatively and being able to find different ways to attack people, different methods I can use. Like, obviously, people know me for schemes and for punchlines and for wordplay, and that's great. But to be in like my 8th or 9th year and be able to find a comfort zone in breaking somebody down and using angles and jokes and using different methods to be able to win a battle instead of just using what I'm really, really good at. That's kind of how I've challenged myself to continue to grow, continue to elevate my craft. I want to make my style well-rounded enough to where I'm a challenge for anyone, no matter what style they use, whether they're a writer, a performer, a punchline person. I want to make my style so well-rounded that I pose matchup problems for anybody that I battle.
Okay. And how do you prepare, or rather not prepare, respond to people that are not necessarily positive towards your style? Because sometimes, there's some people that are a bit negative towards your style. Not everybody feels it. How do you respond to that? What do you do to prepare yourself for a battle and say, okay, people are saying negative things about my style. I'm going to go out and prove that I can do this, that, and this as well.
I always take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? When people have certain criticisms or critiques about the things that I do, the things that I say, I always take it with a grain of salt, because I also understand that this whole culture, this whole art form is subjective. So I can have a really, really good performance and still have people tell me that they didn't like it. They didn't like something about it. They didn't like an angle. I had some people telling me in regards to my 3rd round versus Jerry Wess that they didn't like that angle. They didn't like the comparison of Jerry Wess, the basketball player, to Jerry Wess, the rapper. Now, most people that I've spoken to and most people that have watched the battle, they love that. They thought it was a really good attack. They thought it was a very good way to win the battle, to use that third round, you know, and I still found that there were some people who didn't enjoy that. And so part of understanding criticisms and critiques is understanding that no matter what you do, no matter how you change, everybody isn't going to like you. And so you have to figure out what is going to be your strength, what is going to be your weakness, what are you going to give validity to, and what are you going to disregard. So I try not to think so much about the people that give me criticisms. I try to think about the people that support me. I try to think about the people that do like what I do and do like my style. And I focus on what they want to see me do in the future. I don't focus too much on the naysayers and the people that hate on me or that criticize me. Like I said, I take what they say with a grain of salt, but otherwise I continue to grow and I continue to be the best battler that I can for the people that rock with me and the people that really support me.
I fully feel what you're saying there. Before I bring you in, Naeem, I'm going to bring you in a second, Naeem. I just wanted to say to Chilla, I know obviously when you're in this sort of environment and you're getting praise as well as, you know, maybe some negative criticisms as well from people that are not necessarily feeling your work. How important do you think it is as an artist? Because obviously I'm sort of a performance poet myself, so I perform on stages and that as well. And I know one thing that helps me to kind of ignore any negativity is that I don't allow myself to feel like I need to be validated by the audience. You know, I feel like it's important to not become complacent. How important do you think it is to not allow the whisperings or the criticisms of the audience to get to you in order to become a better writer?
It's super important. And it's, you know, honestly, it's not just with battle rap, man. It's with any type of, you know, subjective art form, performance art, even sports to an extent. You know what I mean? You know, take Paul George as an example. Paul George is known as one of the better players in the NBA. And, you know, he's got this reputation of not performing well in the postseason, in the playoffs, when the games count the most. And, you know, he recently spoke on how what people were saying online affected his mentality and how people were, all the memes that were coming out, all the things that people were tweeting and saying on Instagram and on Facebook, you know, making fun of him, making fun of his struggles, making fun of the fact that his team was losing. You know, as a battle rapper, I may see that to a certain extent, but imagine being an NBA player and you see that stuff from, you know, thousands upon thousands of people every single day who are criticizing you, who are critiquing you. You could have had an incredible season or an incredible game last week, and now just a week later, you know, they're telling you that you're the worst player in the playoffs and you're the, you know, all these negative things. It can definitely affect your mental. So I think it's really, really important not to let those things sway you or discourage you or make you feel insecure about your talent or your passion. You know what I mean? Because it's really easy to do that. And it's really easy to get caught up in that, honestly. But it's really, really important to just stay the course, to stay focused on what you're trying to do. And, you know, as difficult as it is, you have to be just as receptive to the love as you are for the hate. And I think that's, you know, especially for creatives, people like us who do performance arts, it's easier for us to see somebody that says something bad and to let that stick in our minds for hours, for days, for weeks, than it is to take somebody that says, you know, you had a really good performance, and we don't allow those comments to stick in our minds for days or hours or weeks. And so it's really important that you treat those the same. Treat the love with the same amount of attention you give the hate. And you know, that's the only way that you can really, really fully embrace all of the, you know, feedback that you're being given.
So I was just going to add into that. What you said was in regards to people. So in regards to people, yeah, like you can do amazing like work yeah, performance, like you putting out the best performance, yeah, like throughout like whatever time you do it and how many times you basically do it, and then you do like there's one time or 1 week or 1 month, yeah, where you're not doing as great, yeah. They forget all the other stuff that you did, which was sick, and focus
They
on
forget
one thing.
it's just like Soul said, man, in that one battle. You know, he said, I forgot one round, you guys forgot 27 or something like that.
There you go. Yeah.
That's
That's fine.
exactly what it is. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is. You do so good for all these battles. You have one or two, you know, shaky rounds or shaky performances, and people act like they have forgotten your track record and everything you've done and everything you've accomplished. It's crazy, but that's the nature of our culture, and that's the nature of the world right now. Is what have you done for me lately? That's really all people care about right now.
It's funny because battle rap, I've had this discussion with Tony D. I was saying to him that battle rap is a lot more unforgiving than like poetry. For example, I can go on the stage and if I forget my lines or something along that nature, you know, the fans are going to be like, come on, man, you got this, you can do this. Whereas on a battle rap stage, it's like, you forget your lines, man. You know, people are starting to boo, people are, you know, not pleased with you in that moment. They're not having it. I mean, how do you deal with that pressure? Obviously, I've never been in that situation, so I'd love to know how in that situation when, you know, your lines are kind of failing to come to you in that moment, you're in front of this big crowd, how do you deal with that pressure and kind of, you know, get yourself back into the mode and just keep going and performing, keep going forward?
Yeah, honestly, you know, when my first time having an experience like that was versus B Magic, and that was in 2012. That was on URL. It was in the middle of my third round, and you know, I had landed a really big line. The room was going crazy, and I totally just forgot what my next line was, and I stood there literally for I think 30 or 40 seconds, and I was trying to remember it, and I couldn't remember it. Call time on myself. The minute I got off stage, it came right back to me. And you know, after that, I took that choke really hard, and after that, I decided that I wasn't gonna let that happen anymore. So you know, not only did I kind of step up the way that I prepare for battles and how serious I take them, but I also have developed a way, you know, to use my freestyle ability to be able to keep the battle moving while still being able to recall where I was in my material. And so now I have been in other battles and other situations where maybe I haven't remembered my very next line, or maybe it took me a little time to remember my next line. And I remembered it in the midst of, you know, freestyle rebuttaling in the middle of my round, or freestyling, you know, my way out of it to get a reaction to give me more time to remember. There's little things like that that I've learned over the years to be able to handle the pressure that comes with being on stage and in front of so many people, and you know, even being in battles that have certain stipulations like the title matches that I went through on King of the Dot. You know, a lot of those situations are really high pressure situations where, you know, one stumble, one choke can really cost you the battle, the entire battle. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to really focus on and learn the ability to freestyle my way out of those situations most of the time, when I feel it. But every time I see somebody go through it, I feel for them, man. When I was watching Reaper Rel versus Steam this past weekend, or whenever it was, I was like, man, I know these guys, you know, just like me and Jerry, I'm sure they only had, you know, maybe 2 weeks to get ready or whatever, because you know, that's kind of the way of the world right now. But I felt for those guys, man, because I know that being on caffeine and having all these people watching, it can be really detrimental to their brand for people who are watching them for the first time. For people who don't know that Steams has been around for 5 or 6 years, or that Reaper Rel's been around for 5 or 6 years, you know, for the people who are watching them for the first time and then seeing them choke or stumble through 3 rounds, it's like, man, I don't ever want to see this guy again. And they don't necessarily understand or realize that, you know, he's really fucking good when you give him time to get ready and time to prepare. Like, and that's what we're used to. So I feel for those guys, man, because that even without people in the room, there's still a ton of pressure nowadays with all of these battles happening. So I really, really feel for those guys who have a hard time getting ready and dealing with the pressure of being on stage and performing for all of the fans, if not in the room, for all the fans that are watching, either on Caffeine or on the app or on YouTube or whatever the case. I feel for those guys, man. That was the most embarrassing moment of my career, was standing on that stage and not remembering my next line.
It's mad because, you know, when you're in that, like, I've never been in that kind of situation. I've been like on stage and stuff like that, but I remember, like, you're in that moment and your mind just goes blank and you're just sitting there and you're just looking at people like you're just waiting to remember that bar, but you're just sitting there because people are waiting for you to speak in it. Yeah. And then
it feels like forever, man.
Yeah.
Like you watch it back on camera and you're like, okay, I stood there for 25 seconds. But in the moment, it feels like you stood there for 10 minutes. It feels like forever, an eternity. And it's everything just slows down. And it's like you said, you're looking at people, and people are looking at you. You're trying to, you know, calm your nerves, calm your mind, and then people start making noise or booing or reacting, and then it's tough, especially as a you know, that was only my third or fourth battle, so I didn't have as much experience as some of the other people who had come to URL, like the Johns or the T-Tops. Those guys had battled in, you know, like Grind Time and in local leagues for a really long time. I had 2 battles before I went to URL. 2 battles. Two battles in my life. Before I got moved to URL. So a lot of the growing that I did, a lot of the growing pains, a lot of my mistakes, people got to see on a much larger scale because they happened in URL. Whereas some of these other guys, they got to lose their battles in their home leagues, and they got to lose their battles and go through their ups and downs, you know, before they even went to URL, and they got to build a certain amount of experience and a certain amount of you know, knowledge off of the battles they've had. I really didn't get that opportunity. So you saw that mistake with B Magic, where I didn't know how to freestyle out of my choke, or I didn't know how to get back to my material. You saw that mistake the next battle with DNA, when I didn't understand the proper way to perform for a crowd of 3,000 people, because I had never done it and I had never seen it done. You know, a lot of those, you know, issues or mistakes I've made in front of the world, when most people only make them in front of their towns.
It's crazy. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like. I remember the first time I performed in front of a crowd, and it was a lot less than 3,000 people. You know, I think there was about 30 people in the room, and I forgot my words, and I remember it feeling like the worst possible thing ever. But everybody was so supportive of me and asked me to come back on the stage later on in the evening and deliver the poem again. And for you guys, though, it's not like that. You know, it's like you write all this material, you prepare all this material for this specific opponent, and on the day when that happens and you don't get to get all of your stuff off in the moment, and then on top of that, you've got the crowd, you know, booing and they're not accepting it. I mean, it takes a lot of mental strength to be able to deal with that and come back stronger, you know, in the next battle. And I think it's a testament to your writing ability and your writing skill, that from near your get-go, man, you was on the big stages, you know what I mean? You've been performing on the big stages for a very long time, and now we see you now, and, you know, you're still killing it, you know what I'm saying? You're still delivering crazy top-level performances as one of the best battlers in the world, man, in my opinion. And I know there's a lot of people that would agree with me in that sentiment as well. Just recently, you know, your battle with Geechi Gotti on the roof, it was crazy, bro. You know, again, like I said with the Jerry Wess battle, you was operating on another level, man, just showing people that, look, I'm still here, man. You know what I'm saying? And just Man, my hat's off to you, bro. I would take my hat off if it wasn't so, my hair weren't so messy, but you know, props to you, my man. But props to you, my bro. Nah,
that,
man. Yeah, man. I mean it, man. And it's been great to see, like, even when you came and battled Rum Nitty. I mean, that was a battle that for me was something I wanted to see for a long time. You know, I've always been a fan of yours, and I've always been a fan of Nitty's. So for me, that was a dream battle matchup, if you will. You know, the type of battle you really want to see. And you guys came through and had a classic. And I mean, how did you prepare for that? Was Nitty one of your hardest opponents?
Definitely one of my hardest opponents, man. You know, bar for bar and pin wise, he is in a very he's in a very elite category. There aren't a lot of people that I feel like can compete with me on that level. And he's one of them that can. You know what I mean? You know, there's Nitty, there's JC, there's Daylyt, there's Big K, maybe one or two other people, but you know, outside of a very elite group of people, I never worry about if somebody's gonna out-rap me or outright me in any of these battles, really. But that was one battle where I worried about that. That was one battle where I said, "Yo, if I'm not on my A game, Nitty can easily drop 30." And so, you know, having that in my mind really put me in a place creatively where I knew I had to step it up. I knew I had to show up, you know, with a different level of intensity. I was really happy that we did it in a small room, because, you know, up until that battle, I know most people who have followed me know how effective I am in that setting, but I think it had been so long since I battled in a room like that people literally forgot. People literally forgot, you know, how deadly I am in that setting. Like me and JC, me and Daylyt, like that kind of, you know, setting where it's, you know, who can rap better. You know what I mean? I'm really, really good in those settings, and people forgot. So I'm really glad that we did that battle when we did, especially coming off the King of the Dot title match, because I felt like I had a lot to prove. I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder, and really, it gave me a certain level of motivation, and it still does give me a motivation the way those title matches turned out. Gives me this motivation of like, I have never felt so much that the world was against me, and to this day, even as we speak, having been, you know, I think last week was actually 1 year since the first title match that I had with him, with Real Deal. You know, even a year later, I still feel like the world is against me, even though they're not. Like I think more than ever right now, people are singing my praises, and people are definitely being more appreciative and respectful and acknowledging what I've done in this culture and what I'm doing now. And I'm so honored and flattered and happy that people are, you know, finally recognizing my hard work and my effort. But what is continuing to drive me toward greatness and to drive me to be excellent is still the fact that deep down inside, I feel like there are some people who still don't give me that just due.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what's driving me and what pushes me forward. And the love does too. You know, the love that people are giving me now has put my mind in a different place also. It makes me more confident. It makes me, you know, more excited to battle, because now I know people are watching, and now I know people are wanting to see what Chilla's gonna do next. We saw Chilla battle Nitty in a small room, and he survived. A month later, we saw him battle Twerk in a small room, and he survived. Then we saw him battle Geechi on a rooftop. He excelled. Then we saw him battle Jerry Wess with 14 days to get ready and went crazy. What is Chilla gonna do next? What's he gonna do next? Who's he gonna battle? And can Chilla keep this streak going? Can he keep this level of high performances, you know, consistently going through URL? So I'm really excited to get back in the ring and really show you guys that this isn't just like a hot streak.
Yeah.
You know, this is the
talent.
new me.
Yeah.
This is the new me. It's time to get used to it. There's no going back anymore to performances that are not up to par, performances that do not shake the culture, that do not get people talking. I can't go back to that. I won't go back to that. This is a new level. This is elevation. This is growth. This is evolution. And, you know, I'm just anxious to get back in the ring so I can prove to everybody that this isn't just a high point in my career. It's not just a peak. This is the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the new norm.
I was gonna say, yeah, just taking not sick, like, because obviously you've done it for so long. Yeah, it's been 9. Like I was correct when I said 9 years, right? About 9 years you've been doing it for, right?
9 years, yeah.
Yeah, so about 9 years you've been doing it, and obviously with the years that you've been doing it and battling for so long, and the many battles that you like, just so many, like even like listing the many different battles you've been in. It's been like how many battles, like approximately, do you think like you've been in so far over 9 years? You've been.
The number is somewhere between 70 and 75.
Mm.
And the resume is
Massive.
from God tier to top tier to mid tier to local guys all over the US, local guys in Canada, local guys in the UK, you know, a couple guys in Australia.
I'm just battling the world, fam. Do you hear this, bro?
Yeah, it's such a large resume, man. I've battled your disasters, your Daylyts, your Arsenals, your DNAs, your Charlie Clips twice, your Concededs, your Math Hoffas, your Cortezes, your Nitty, Quantum Physics.
Yeah.
Everyone. Everyone.
Literally.
Geechi, everyone. Tony D, C Major Concerns, Vega, Sharon, Thesaurus, Ilmac. Like you can go on and on. I battled
so many people.
So many people.
You've pretty much battled everyone that is needed to be battled. Do you know what I mean? To say that you're one of the dopest pens out there, and obviously you call yourself King Pen, yeah. To be able to kind of say that, and you have the resume to back that up. You know what I mean? The people that you've battled is an incredible list of opponents, man. It's amazing to say the least. And I think it's inspiring what you said about, moving forward and upping your game, even though you were already operating at a very, very high level as it was. But then to say, after those real deal losses that, I mean, personally, I thought you won both of those battles, but that's neither here nor there right now. But to go from that and to keep working to get even better at what you're doing so that you're now operating on a level that's even crazier and even higher than you were before. I mean, that's inspiring. I think as writers, whatever you're doing, whether it's battle rap, whether it's poetry, whether it's rap, music, whatever it is, I think your ultimate aim is to always be, improving your craft. I mean, that's one of the things for me. When I started out doing this, I felt like I wasn't very good at it when I look back at my stuff. I'm not necessarily one of those guys that was always operating on a high level, but as time's gone on, I've seen the improvements that I've made, and I've been confident about sitting in a room with the likes of Tony D and saying, Tony, can you check this out? What do you think of this? You know what I mean? Whereas years ago, I wouldn't have been like that. So to see you operating at a high level from pretty much the start and then to come to an even higher level now, I mean, it's crazy, Chilla, bro. It's crazy.
Absolutely, man. Now, I was going to say...
Salute,
sorry, bro. Go for it, bro.
No, I was just saying salute, man. I really appreciate that.
Because I was literally gonna add in because, like, in regards to like how you started out, because I know the first person you fit was what's his name again, man? Gatchman's Jones as well. I mean, that's how you say it. Yeah, so the first person you faced was that person, and I've never seen the battle because it's over 9 years, like 9 years old in it, and I've only got into battle rap like 2 or 3 years ago. So I've only seen the recent battles that you
sporadically, innit?
legit. I'm still like a baby man when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I'm a regular watcher. He's a bit more sporadic, innit? I tell him what battles to watch.
And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll watch it. But like, been such a long time. I want to know, like, what was that like catalyst for you, like, to get into battle rap? You get me? Like, what did you get into battle rap? Because I know that you declined a lot of this guy's offers and you weren't gonna jump into it, but you eventually did. So what made you like go into battle rap?
What made me go into it was, you know, I had a couple of people who I really looked up to and I really respected, who told me I should consider it, man. You know, these guys were rappers, they were musicians who were, you know, had a great reputation in the Boston scene. Salute to Terminology, salute to Slain. You know, both of those guys, you know, saw the battle that I did against Gatman Jones, and also saw the battle I did against Interstate Flames, which was a few months after that, locally. And they said, man, you should consider, you know, really going hard with battle rap because Boston doesn't have anybody in that lane. And, you know, they were looking at it from a standpoint of marketing in regards to, you know, the music scene out here, which back then was even, you know, extremely, you know, oversaturated with rappers and singers and things like that. And so being able to make a name through music out here is super tough, you know, because there's so many different artists. And so they were saying, you know, you should consider the battle rap thing because there's nobody to share the spotlight with. Like, you would literally have the entire, you know, city behind you because there's no other, you know, there's no other person that is on your level that you have to split a fan base with. I thought about it, and you know, it made so much sense, you know, and outside of, you know, salute to 40 Bars and salute to Excel, you know, but outside of them, you know, there really hasn't been anybody for me to, you know, that has made it to my level that I've needed to compete with locally. I don't have to compete with anyone. So, you know, it was definitely the right thing to do, although it wasn't what I wanted to do initially. I wanted to stay focused on my music and continue to do music. And I still do music, although I don't do it at the pace that, you know, I would like to do it at because I have to balance both. You know, it was such a good idea for me to go that route. And, you know, I can say 9 years later, I'm really proud of what I've accomplished. I'm proud of what I've done. And, you know, I just want to make it easier for other Boston talent to be able to reach this level. And so I'm going to do anything I can in my position to make sure that other people from my city have some of the same opportunities, you know. You know, I've started battling a little bit locally, giving some of the local guys some shine. I have a battle this weekend, actually, against a kid named Caswell. Really dope writer, great pen. If you haven't checked him out, go on, you know, YouTube, check out some of his battles. I've booked him for like GZ events for King of the Dot and stuff like that. I think he's got a ton of potential. You know, so I decided to give him a look and battle him. We're doing 1 round this Saturday in a couple of days. And you know, I'm hoping that things like that are going to make, you know, people such as yourselves and, you know, maybe some of my fans who are just kind of, you know, getting to know me. I hope that it will, you know, shift some people's attention and give him an opportunity to show people what he can do. You know, and hopefully, you know, if he does well, he is somebody that people will recognize as being a part of the city and somebody, you know, hopefully he'll be able to help build this fan base and, you know, he'll be able to take that further. But, you know, I'm really invested in trying to make sure that when I leave or when I stop battling, that there are other people from Boston who are still flying this flag. That's really huge for me.
That's good to hear, man. It's good that you're trying to lift up people as well, you know, and when you're done, you got people still shining from the area in Boston. which I
For
think
sure.
is incredible, man. It's important to think about the up and coming talent as well, you know, so that, you know, they can take things into the future, you know what I'm saying? But I want to know, man, who's someone that you haven't battled that is someone that you would really love to battle right now? Like, if you had the chance in 2020 or even in 2021, someone that you haven't battled yet that you would love for Smack to set it up and give you that battle.
I mean, I think the obvious answer is Lux. But if we're gonna go a little less obvious than that, there's a few people. You know, this is on Tay Rock. I think a battle with me and Tay Rock could be really, really dope, whether it's a small room or no crowd or rooftop or whatever it's gonna be. I think Tay Rock versus Daylyt was really good. I thought Daylyt left Earth, but I thought Tay Rock also did really, really well. I think it's the best Tay Rock we've seen in a while. I saw him do angles. I saw him do some schemes. Like, I saw him really switch it up and do some different things, and I think he did really well. And I think it makes a battle between us a little more interesting if he, you know, prepares that same type of way he prepared for Daylyt. I think it makes a potential battle between us sound really good. I know he's willing to do it. I know we've spoken about it. I know URL is interested in making it happen. So that would be huge for me, man. That would be big for me to be able to get to battle Tay Rock, you know, at some point before the end of this year. But ultimately, you know, I definitely want to get to Lux. I say it all the time. He's the you know, in this battle rap game that I play, he's the last level. He's the boss. You know, so being able to get to him and perform well is you know, that's really gonna put me at a place where I feel like I don't have anything else to accomplish.
Is there talks in the works to get that sorted, yeah? Or is it just like just trying to see?
I think the conversation has started just in terms of like the culture. The Lux conversation hasn't really started business wise, like behind the scenes. But you know, I can tell you that I've definitely laid the groundwork for it. If I were to get a battle with Tay Rock and win, it definitely could start that conversation, and it definitely could, you know, create that narrative and that storyline for that to happen. But no talks of it yet from a business standpoint. But I'm glad that the culture is talking about it. I've seen Jay Black and a lot of people, you know, like on Champion and other places, you know, speak about wanting to see that battle. And I think it's a battle that should happen. I think Lux and I are the two greatest pens ever. I think that people are just starting to recognize me as such, but I've always felt that way. And I feel like, especially in this type of setting, this small room, no crowd type of setting, I think a battle with me and Lux, if you give us both, you know, if he and Sue Surf had 8 months to prepare, I dare him to give me 8 months to prepare. Give me 8 months to put together 3 rounds. There's no way that I'm gonna lose a round to Lux or anybody else. Not gonna happen. So I would love to be in that situation. I would love to have the opportunity to sit down for 6 months and don't take any other battles and focus on this one battle, you know, with Loaded Lux in a small room with no crowd. That I would love it. I would love it. There's no way I would lose that battle.
I think the entire culture would love it, man. I think both battles that you mentioned would be phenomenal battles, man. And I truly hope they happen. I truly, truly do. But transitioning a little, if you were to ever, for example, if ever things were to pick up in the UK again, because I know the battle rap scene has kind of died down here a little bit. I'd love to know if you would battle Big Scoop. Because I know Big Scoop, and I know that at one point in one battle you actually you know, you called him out in one of your battles in the UK. And I mean, Big Scoop's a friend of mine, so that's a battle I'd like to see if you came to the UK, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've told Scoop for years, man. All that has to happen is a league has to want it. You know, a league just has to call me and set it up. You know, but I told Shadi, I told you know, I told everybody over there. I want Soul. I want Scoop. Those are the two battles that I want to do in Raptor. Those are like the three battles that whenever I can, get back over there, whenever it gets safe, those are the three I want to do before I retire. Those three battles, Soul, Scoop, and Raptor.
Love to see it, man. Especially
Yo, we
the one
need.
against Scoop.
Well, don't worry. We'll make sure to tag them in this video in it, so they know they're aware in it. Like
100%, man. I'm gonna
Make
send
sure
this
that-
over to Scoop.
No, I think they all know, but
Yeah.
it's also a timing thing. It was, and salute to Shotty. Me and Major Concerns was a really good 1-round battle, and that was the battle I think that I called out Scoop in, and Raptor and a couple other people also. But yeah, man, I think they all know, and I've been in talks with a couple of leagues for me and Scoop, and for me and Raptor. So I wouldn't be surprised if things get better as far as the pandemic goes.
yeah.
Don't be surprised if you see, either one of those battles in 2021. It's very possible.
That'll be fun.
I'd love to, man. I think the battle with Scoop would be it would be a special one, man. You guys would be punching that crazy. I can just picture it now, man. Just imagine it. But I mean, I know you're a busy man, Chilla, and we really appreciate your time. But before we let you go, I just wanted to ask you if this is something that you can even possibly come up with an answer for. I wanted to know, what would you consider your favorite battle so far in your career? The battle that really, helped you become who you are today.
It's a really good question. When I think of the battle that helped me become who I am, it's hard to say just one, man. There are, probably 3 or 4 battles that stick out where I feel like, the impact of whatever happened in that battle, put me in a place to be better afterwards. I can easily point it to B Magic battle, like I said earlier in this interview, in regards to how choking made me feel and how that is the reason why I prepare so meticulously now, and why I prepare in such a way where I kind of won't allow myself to be on stage and to choke the way that I did with him. I could point to the prep battle on URL, where I feel like that's the first battle where I really, really, on some type of a stage proved that I could be aggressive, have performance, and be a lot more well-rounded. That was the first time I had been on a stage after the DNA battle on URL, and I really feel like, I really went into that battle with a point to prove. And it's that same feeling that I've had for all of the battles I've had on this run on URL. For the Nitty battle, for the Twerk battle, for the Geechi battle, it's that same feeling that I had versus Prep. This feeling of like, you guys really don't respect what I do. Like, you guys really take me for a joke. Like, this is a game. And it's that same chip on my shoulder that I've had all year that has contributed to me doing so well. So I could say the Magic battle for how I prepare. I could say the Prep battle for, like, my mentality going into a lot of these battles. I could also say the Matt Hoffa battle. That's like the first battle where I really broke somebody down in their character and learned how to kind of pick people apart. That's like the first battle I started to incorporate more angles and less like punchlines and schemes. So there's definitely a lot of different battles that I could tell you, man, that have affected me in different ways. Most recently, I think it's just like, like I said earlier, the title matches. The title matches really, not only taught me something about being able to win live, because winning on camera is a whole different battle most of the time. When you're talking about YouTube or the URL app, you can lose in the room and then win on camera. But that doesn't matter in a judged battle. If you don't convince the judges in the moment that you were better, you will lose. And it doesn't matter how it looks on camera, you lost. You don't get to leave with the chain. They don't get to watch it on camera and then give me the chain back. That's not how it works. And so those title matches really changed the way that I perform. And they made me understand the value of winning in the moment and not just relying on my pen to win on camera. So even though those, even though I feel like I won the title matches also, and even though the decision didn't go my way, I felt like I performed really well in those two battles. And I felt like I focused on and learned the value of trying to win a battle in the moment instead of winning it in 2 months when it comes out on YouTube.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that with us, because obviously, me as a writer myself, and I know a lot of writers that are going to listen to this podcast back after are going to appreciate hearing this sort of thing from you and be inspired by it, because you've just been doing some big things for a long time, as we mentioned earlier in the pod. And I think we just want to keep seeing you grow, man. We want to keep seeing you getting, better and better and having the type of battles that you want and I believe you deserve. And I hope you get this battle with Tay Rock. I hope you get the battle with Lux. And I hope as well you battle Scoop, because I'll be there for that one.
Yeah. But I'm totally down, man. Totally down.
Wicked, man. But Chilla, we are truly grateful for you joining us here today, man. I know you're a busy man, so we really, really do appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, man.
Hey, appreciate you guys for having me. Salute to Outspoken Podcast. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Chilla Jones, Instagram Chilla Jones, www.chillajones.com. New line of merchandise coming soon. And lastly, follow Jones Inc. 2020 on Twitter. All of my new music, all of my new tunes coming out real soon. Got a single with Method Man coming out soon. Few other songs that I think you guys are really, really dig. So make sure you keep up with us on Twitter, keep up with us on Instagram as well.
Sick. Thank you so much, Chilla. Until next time, people, this has been the Outspoken Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Tate, and I've been joined by...
Just Naeem.
Naeem, I'm waiting for you.
I don't say it.
Forever to say that. Until next time, people, have an amazing week.
Sorry, I feel the connection.
No, you took ages, bro.
Connection bugged out, bro. The connection bugged out.
Bugged out. Anyway, But anyway, people, have an amazing week, and remember, we love you. 3,000.
3,000. There you go. See, I got it.